Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much to be here today with us. It's a pleasure to speak to you today for the second time online. The Ferrari is going to be here with you to tell you about the company, and also to present a special guest from the F1 engineering department. My name is Valeria Fauci, and I'm part of the HR team with a focus on the employer branding and university relations. And I'm here with Mr. Dennis de Monk, and I leave the word to him.
Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see you, albeit at a distance today. My name is Dennis de Monk, working together with Valeria Fauci on the team, recovering the areas of recruitment, employer branding, and the relationship with universities. It's a fantastic opportunity to get closer, to decode what Ferrari stands for, to highlight or showcase Simone, one of our engineers of the Formula One racing team. But above all, that we believe is the most exciting part, is to have a direct Q&A with you, to be able to address some of your ideas, your questions, your curiosity above all, of what it means to be working in Ferrari, how individuals can make the difference, what is the culture of the organization, and if you yourself, you would see as a potential candidate, as a potential colleague, to be working with Simone, with Valeria, and myself. Valeria, over to you.
Thank you very much. I kindly ask to Simone to share the presentation so we can start. Thank you very much. So basically, before to start, I would like to give a brief introduction about myself. As I told you before, my name is Valeria, and I'm part of the HR team in Ferrari since 2.5 years. I am an organizational psychology, so I've been studying psychology applied to the organization, and since 2.5 years, I have the pleasure to work with Ferrari in the HR department. So before to start with the presentation of Simone Ceccarelli, I would like to give you some information about the company, because maybe it's important, to be informed about what Ferrari stands for. So I kindly ask you to Simone to, okay, great. I actually see a red strip, okay. So the first slide is about the identities of the brand. We actually have 3 main souls. We like to call them souls, which are the first one, of course, the Formula One, because we have a racing DNA, so it's important to mention the Formula One for first. And then we have, of course, the GT department, which is important at the same, and is related to all the activities linked to the road cars, sports, and non-sports car. Then the third soul is the brand diversification. And a few days ago, we launched an impressive catwalk in our assembly line, which is really, really interesting. So I suggest you to go on a website and search information for it. Then I would like to ask Simone to go to the next slide. Okay, because we have our values. It's important to speak about values because Ferrari really is characterized from important values as the individual and the team. So the individual is as important as the team because, of course, the team is composed by individuals, and it's important to work closely and to work as a team, because otherwise the objectives will never be achieved. Then the tradition and innovation is important because Ferrari has a really, really important story behind it, and we would like to preserve this history and to see at the same time to the innovation and technology innovation. So it's important to maintain these 2 visions, and it's important to work for the technology and the innovation, not forgetting about the tradition and the history about Ferrari. Then we have passion and achievement, which are 2 key words, because we really like to deliver what we promised. And this is a mantra for Ferrari. Also, we will never achieve our objectives without passion. Passion is something that is really important to achieve objective because gives the how can I say, the power to work together, to don't be upset if an objective is not achieved, and to work better for the next objective. So those three values are really important, and I wanted to share with you because I think it's important to know better the history of Ferrari and how Ferrari works in terms of values that characterize people that are part of the company. So let's go ahead with the next slide. Okay, as I already told you, our people is really important. Enzo Ferrari loved to say that factories are made with machines, walls, and people. But Ferrari is made most of all by people. So this is really important because Enzo Ferrari, since the beginning of the time, really cared about the people that works in Ferrari, and is important. And actually, we never forget about this statement. And if Simone goes ahead with the next slide. Okay. Yes, we care about people. And we have many initiatives that we organized, especially for our people. For example, we have Formula Uomo and Formula Donna, which is the aim is to care about the persons in terms of a medical check, in terms of the care of the person at 360 degrees. And then we have the education and training. Basically, we have over 63,300 hours of training delivered for our employees in the 2020, which was a special year for us. And we have also Scuola Mestieri, which is dedicated for our operators, and also the Ferrari Master Program with the MBA dedicated to our employees, the white collar. Also, we have the company welfare, which is important, as well as the Formula Uomo and Formula Donna. We have dedicated gym, we have dedicated family day in order to let the family of our employee to know the job, I mean, the offices and the facilities where their father or their mother works. And yeah, I think, okay, in the image, you can see at the bottom of the page, you can see our company restaurant, and on the top you can see an operator, a woman operator working on the engine of Ferrari. I think I'm done. I've said everything, so I would like to leave the word to Simone Ceccarelli, and I would like to thank you very much, all of you. Thank you to be here. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. Thank you.
From Ferrari Gestione Sportiva. I am 27 years old and I've been working here in Ferrari since 2019 in the Test Bench Technologies department for two years. Let me present my educational and working experience. I started here in 2012. I started studying in 2012 for my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in Ancona, a city near my hometown, at the Università Politecnica delle Marche. There I graduated in 2015 and I decided to move to Modena for my master's degree in vehicle engineering. Here in Modena I studied at the Università degli Studi di Modena e Reggio Emilia until 2019. During my second year in the University of Modena, I decided to apply and participate in the project of the Formula Student. I don't know how many of you knows about the Formula Student. It is a project in which all universities around the world compete with a team of only students, which try to design and build a Formula-like car, a single-seater, and then they go to certain events that are organized all around the world in international circuits to compete against each other in both static and dynamic events. After in my particular case, I was a member of the drivetrain division, and together with the other 3 people, we completely designed and built the transmission of the car. After my year in the Formula student, I finished studying, finished my exams, and in September 2018, I went to Austria for my master thesis. There, I worked with AVL and the Technical University of Graz for the design and calculation of a slider bearing test bench. I came back to Modena in 2019, in February. I graduated then in April. And after just 1 month, I was called from Ferrari, and I started working here. Right now, I'm working for the Power Unit Test Operations division as a test bed mechanical engineer. Let me explain what I do here in Ferrari. As you know, Ferrari is an engine manufacturer here in Formula One. So we not only design and produce the engine, but we need also to test it. So we have a big variety of test benches in which we test all the components from the power unit, from the complete power unit with also the gearbox, to smaller components like, for example, the energy recovery system, or batteries, electric motors, or also even smaller components like some oil pump, fuel pump, cylinder head, something like that. My department, Power Unit Test Operations, is responsible for all these test benches. In particular, we follow these 3 tasks: the planning and organization of power unit testing, the production and management of all the test bench equipment, and then the execution and the analysis of the power unit testing. In particular, I work for the Tecnologie di Sala Prova department, which is test bench technologies, let's say, which are in charge of the second task. Let me explain how it usually works. The engine department send us a test request in which they specify which kind of test on which component they want to make. And we have to evaluate how to change the current test benches and how to design them to do what they need to do. The workflow usually is this one. We start with the design phase, in which we have the specification definitions, in which we have to determine all the characteristics that the test bench needs to have. For example, maximum speed, maximum torque, power, measurements of some kinds, or for example, some peculiar characteristics for the test bench to be, for example, to simulate parts of the car without having those parts. After that, once we know how the test bed needs to be done, we have to make or buy decisions. In this case, depending on how big the changes are, we usually go to a supplier, or if there are just small changes, we usually do it by ourselves. In any case, we follow both the design and calculations and the production of the test bench, even if it is done from a supplier. So once we decide how to proceed, we go to the overall design, in which we actually design the test bed and do all the calculations that are necessary. And then we pass to the production phase. In the production phase, we produce the CAD and drawings for the production. We send the parts in production and follow the schedule and all the problems that may happen during the production. And once the parts are ready, we also are in charge of the assembly of those parts. Once the test bed is updated, we pass to the testing phase. In the testing phase, we usually do first an equipment testing, in which we test only the test bench without the unit to test. And we check that all the requirements and all the specifications are met. We also check if there are vibrational problems or torque problems. And in that case, we need to also solve these problems as soon as possible to start the tests with the power unit component. Once we checked all the test bench, we also do the measurements with the unit under test, the UUT, and check that everything is working correctly. If everything is good, we leave the test bench to the engine to the engine department for their tests, and we pass to the maintenance phase. In this phase, we usually follow all the test benches with a live condition monitoring system, in which we have a lot of sensors around all the test benches, and we measure, for example, the torque, we measure the speed, vibrations, forces, displacement of the shafts to check that everything is working correctly. If not, we usually have anomalies in which if there is a problem, we are called to the test bench to assess the problem and try to solve it as soon as possible and as good as possible. Other than that, we also follow the maintenance plan, in which every period of time we, for example, exchange bearings on some components, or we completely change components that are at the end of their life, and we follow also the maintenance. As you can see, it's a really various work. We follow completely the life of our components from scratch, from the design up to the maintenance. So we really see what we produce and design, and we see how they work and how we can do it better. Now that I've talked about the technical side of my job, I would like to present how it is to work in Ferrari, essere Ferrari. Our work method is founded on 4 cornerstones that are, at first, learning from errors. Here in Ferrari, we really believe that we must look at errors from a positive side, from a positive point of view. I'm not talking about destruction errors, but I'm talking about good faith errors, let's say. So when someone makes a mistake, it's really important that at first admit to ourselves that we've made a mistake, and then try to understand first why we have done that mistake, and second, what we can do better to avoid it and to prevent that happening in the future. And the second cornerstone is responsibility. Here in Ferrari, taking responsibility and initiative is strongly encouraged. Especially here in Formula One, because we are actually a small team for what we do. We build a new car every year. We have really a lot of work here, and so people are very, very busy. So you don't have always someone on your back checking what you are doing and checking if you're doing a good work. So responsibility is really important, because you have to take responsibility for your work. You are the first judge of your work. And then we have open-mindedness. It is really important here to be open to new ideas without prejudice, because the soul of Formula One is innovation. So it's really important to be open to new kinds of methods and new ways of doing things. And in the end, we also have teamwork. We feel and work as a whole team. In fact, even though we have a lot of divisions and departments, we strictly work together. We always exchange information and help each other when it's needed, because we really feel as a whole team that is working for one goal. Okay. Thank you very much. I am finished.
Great. Thank you very much.
Many thanks for your insight, your testimonial. It's important to give an insight with all of our participants today, what it's really like from a technical point of view, from an organizational point of view. You did not shy away of the complexity and, of course, the hard work. There's a lot of things to be done. There is a continuous rhythm in our procedures to make sure that we can develop the cars during the season and, of course, prepare already for the next season. So effectively, we already have a minimum of 2 projects ongoing simultaneously, even more so when it's an important change in the regulations, of course, that we are planning for next year. So we saw some good news yesterday through the channels that we're testing our first simulation for next year already with our Formula One drivers. It is a few months ahead of the new season. So you see how important it is to anticipate and to be able to communicate the drivers with the technical teams and then with the engineering teams in order to be aware of all the items quickly, to have a quick time to market in order to be reactive and go forward and push for the results. And what best to give a personal testimony from your point of view, based on your experience, based on your insights, based on your passion, and working, of course, with all the international teams that we have in Ferrari. So, Simone, grazie. Many thanks for your insights. Now we leave the floor open to questions. I saw there's quite a few coming through the chat already, and allow me to pick up 1 or 2 of them. And I know that Valeria will pick up on a few ones as well. But I saw a question dropping by Jakob. I will only refer to first names for the personality, for the privacy point of view. So I'll just refer to the first names, but you know who I'm referring to. But Jakob, many thanks for your question. We have 57 different nationalities working in Ferrari in Maranello. 57 different nationalities. So yes, the working language on a day-to-day basis, it is Italian. It's the home country. Modena, Maranello, it's the home location. It's the place of Enzo Ferrari. And many of our staff, 75, 80% of all of our staff are Italian nationals. And most of the others are good Italian speakers, including myself or other people. I'm a Dutch national, by the way. I'm not an Italian. But we do have people from 59 different nationalities. Now, that means to say, no, we're not looking for fluent Italian speakers in terms of candidates, projects, or to be working with the company. We are looking for fluent English speaker of any kind of nationality, but you need to be fluent or close to fluent in English. And above all, for Formula One, for GT, we're looking for fluency in engineering. Okay, we're looking for excellent engineers and for an international mindset to be working with the team. Later on, and be that for Jakob, yourself, or some other of the international people that I saw in the chat today, of course, we will encourage you to learn Italian in order to integrate, to enjoy, and to make the most of living in Italy, appreciating the beauty of Italy, the food of Italy, and above all, to be able to converse, to speak with your colleagues who are blue-collar, white-collar, technical, finance, managering, and also non-engineering stuff in order to make your points, in order to develop the best, most competitive race car for the Formula One team, or the developments of our new products also into the GT and brand diversification teams. So it's important for you to learn Italian and to enjoy your period in Italy. We're not looking for fluent English, not for fluent Italian. And yes, we can offer Italian lessons if required in your day-to-day job. Another question I saw in terms of opportunities in the Formula One team, to be the successors or a colleague of Simone specifically. It's great that we have people here with that passion and that hunger to come and join the team. We don't publish all the opportunities in Formula One for many different reasons. Number one, of course, the confidentiality. We cannot publish everything. We are preparing for things into the season of next year with new specifications, with new regulations, and we want to make sure that we have a competitive advantage to the other 9 competing teams or 18 different drivers that will be lining up on the grid in Australia 2022 next year. Okay, so we will not publish everything. Sometimes we do publish a few things, in which case they're probably quite generic, might open in terms of a job description, again, to make sure that we are clear in terms of the confidentiality of information. However, we do have a number of regular postings, specifically also for internships, and they're called engineering internships or manufacturing internships that give every engineer an opportunity to apply to Ferrari. And our team, be that Valeria, be that myself, be that our recruitment team, the Selezione team of Ferrari, will evaluate all the applicants to see which one would be most suitable to then get in touch with for a first round interview with a recruiter, and then potentially a second round, be that with Simone or with some of the other colleagues on our engineering teams. If you make the cuts, i.e. if you have all the elements to be in line of what, the line manager, Simone, etc., what they are looking for. But please ensure to register on Ferrari.com from a GDPR, data privacy point of view, to share your CV, potentially a motivation letter. It's not a must-have, but it's a good thing to have because it shares a little bit more of your character, your motivations, the value added that you can bring to the Ferrari organization, not only that you're a great engineer or great marketeer or professional in sales or in marketing in other areas, but also your personality, your drive, what makes you unique, and why, based on what was being shared by both Simone as well as by Valeria earlier, why do you have the right skills and competencies to fit into the Ferrari company culture? And that allows you to evaluate the most suitable profiles and then start with a few of them for interviews, okay? But we don't publish all the opportunities. Sometimes they change from one week to another. Why? Because we have found somebody, we have changed some of the specifications. And separately, the team is also working in a very proactive kind of way. We're already anticipating what we're looking for in September or in January 2022. So if we already identified that kind of profile, we're not going to publish it because we already have been in touch with, Simone and Simone's predecessor or successors and have done some interviews and already found that he or she are the right people to come and join us, in which case Ferrari will not publish that opportunity because we've done our homework. We've anticipated, we've planned to be in right with the right people. The morale of the story, of course, we're often an organization of 4,500 employees, okay? You may think that's a big organization. We believe it's quite a human-sized organization. It's not as huge as some big multinationals around the world. And that means we still have a very agile entrepreneurial spirit born from our racing background, our Formula One Gestione Sportiva background. We need to be agile. We need to be well organized. That's what Simone confirmed already. And we need to make sure that when we start competing at the next race, which is going to be, I guess the FP1 is this morning, Simone. The race is this Sunday to prepare then for Silverstone and so forth. We need to be super agile and super well organized. And that's the reason why not everything is published, because it takes a lot of time to get things published, reviewed, reading CVs and so forth. Sometimes we can be faster. And as a result, I recommend you anticipate that and already share on our career profile on Ferrari.com, already share your interest, your CV, and your motivation letter. Super. I've answered a couple of the questions. The third one I want to check, and after that, I'll give the microphone back to Valeria. But the last one I'll pick for right now is a question from Giorgio with regards to opportunities also for people that are not engineers, but are interested with a background in economics. Now, economics may that well be in finance and economics, or it may be in commerciale, sales and marketing economics, okay? We have opportunity for both type of profiles. No doubt not as many as in engineering, because 80%, 85% of all the key activities, and therefore the internships and professional opportunities, the jobs that we share and that we're looking for, 85% are mostly technical. They're engineering opportunities. We are an expert in engineering, okay? But there's a number of opportunity also in sales and marketing, in finance, in reporting, in accounting, in audits, and in other areas, including in communications, in ICT, and so forth and so forth. Now, once again, we do not share all the opportunities. We have published, by the way, a few of them. So it has not been radio silence for the last 6 months that you referred on. We have a distinct opportunity that we share every so often, including in some of our filiale, our international offices. Now, Ferrari is working in 12 different offices around the world. And sometimes you see there's opportunities that we published recently, be that in Singapore, be that in Australia, in Sydney, the Ferrari office is in Sydney, be that in Japan, in Tokyo, be that in London, be that in Paris, be that in Wiesbaden, Germany, be that in New Jersey, in the USA. And some of them are relevant for engineers in the after sales of engineering, but also in sales and marketing in more commercial opportunities, where there's a requirement. And if we want and can publish for the sake of confidentiality, in that case, you will, yes, see an opportunity posted, shared on Ferrari.com, and occasionally also on LinkedIn or on other platforms. So keep your eyes open. Anticipate, as said earlier, by sharing your profiles already, so that the different recruiters, Valeria and myself, can evaluate that. Perhaps not for an opportunity tomorrow, or on Monday morning, but something that we know that we're working on in due confidentiality for September or for January, February in 2022. And that's the best way to go forward. That would be my recommendation from a professional point of view, in order for you to prepare eventual opportunity in the Ferrari team. Valeria, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dennis. And I wanted to read the Rosario's question, which is, first of all, congratulations for the presentation. Thank you very much. It was a very clever and interesting. Which is the best specialization for an engineer student who wants to work in the automotive field? Okay, to answer to these questions, it's important to know where you would like to work, in which department, I mean. Because, for example, for the Simone's department, the mechanical engineering, the automotive engineering could be okay. If you would like to develop the software side of, let me say, a car, you actually have to study something related to informational technologies and mechatronics, or even specialization on software, electronics, for example. So it depends where you would like to work. And also, I would like to remember that for mechanical engineers and automotive engineers, we are looking for an intern for the department of Simone. So if you would like to work in a similar team than Simone, you can apply on our website, or also you can send me an email. Then I will leave you my email in the chat. Yes, I think, Rosario, I have answered your question. I hope. I would like to go through the other questions. Jacob already answered.
Valeria, just 1 second. I wanted to ask Simone, okay?
Yes.
Since we're looking for somebody on his team. Simone, tell me, what was your interview experience? Which steps did you go through in order to join the Ferrari team just a little while ago?
Okay.
What was it like? What were the questions that you had, for example?
Oh, yeah. For example, I had a lot of technical questions regarding, for example, vibration measurements, vibration also analysis, and, for example, some kind of design questions on how to design a structural piece, for example, or also reading a drawing, because it's most part of what we do is actually producing drawings, so we need to check that everything is correct and that the production goes as planned. So yeah, it's in our position, we really have a wide spectrum of on competencies. We need to really consider all the sides of our job.
How many questions, how many interviews did you have, Simone?
I was fortunate because I only had one, actually. Yeah, at first I had an interview by phone, but really brief interview, and then I was called here for the interview. It was 2019, so I was actually here in Ferrari for the interview, and there I talked to my responsible, and also to to Valeria's colleague, and to the head of our department, and yeah, pretty much we all did it in one day, actually.
Yeah, very good. Well done. You know, sometimes the time to market allows us to be extremely fast. You know, welcome to Formula One, welcome to Ferrari. It is not always as fast from that point of view, but it can be. Everybody will appreciate that, of course, in the COVID environment, many of the interviews are taking place by video. The technology is fantastic. It does not, of course, rhyme as much with the sensitivity, with the individual touch that we have with the final interview, with the human interview at the end of the process. But it is important to be able to go forward, to make sure to be able to, for us to evaluate the best individuals and make a commitment in terms of who can join us. And you'll see there's a number of technical questions that will be asked during interviews by the line managers. Even Valeria and myself will ask you some technical points just to make sure that you are up to the challenge. And then separately, of course, we'll double check in terms of your mobility, you know, moving to Maranello, your ability in terms of time. When are you available to come and join us? Are there any kind of particular restrictions from a graduate point of view? Have you now completed your thesis? Have you completed your exams, or you're ready to go? Okay, we have those questions at this moment also for the Formula One Engineering Academy, where in the final interviews at this moment for the boys and girls to come and join us in September, early October. And we're just going through exactly these kind of questions like Simona had during his interviews a couple of years ago. Yeah, Valeria, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to specify that was what Simone said is correct. Before the COVID pandemic, we used to do a phone call in order to understand the basics about the background and the starting time and so on. And then we invited you in person here in Maranello to have the interview and to have the medical check. But with the COVID pandemic, we organized, first of all, the phone call, then a video call, and then once the video call is, the feedback is positive, we will invite you for the final interview here in Maranello. And actually it works. So yes, this is the actual selection process. I just wanted to read the Francesco's question, which is: good morning, thanks for your presentation. How much time before the graduation we should apply for an engineering internship? Thank you for the question, Francesco. I think it's really important because no one knows when to apply, and sometimes there is a mismatch between the starting date and the application of the candidates. So if you are graduating, so you're writing your thesis and you're almost done, I suggest to apply at least 1 month before the graduation. So during this month, you will be able to do the selection process, and at the end of your graduation, you will be able to join Ferrari. Sometimes we have opportunity for writing the thesis as well with us. This is not so often because, of course, due to confidentiality reasons, and also to the possibility, we don't have the possibility to develop a thesis in every department. Basically, we actually like to do the extracurricular internship, let me say. But of course, there are chances to join Ferrari with a thesis. It's less often, but there is the chance. And so, 1 month before to graduate, or even when you are graduated, apply, and then you will be involved in the selection process, and then you will be ready to join Ferrari if successful. So thank you very much, Lorenzo. And then, sorry, Matteo. After a master degree mechanical engineering with automotive curriculum, which is the best path that you recommend to have a chance to work with you? Okay, first of all, the first path is to have an internship with us. So you can start from the beginning with us, and then you will have the chance to join Ferrari. About this, is important, Matteo, to mention that Ferrari has a high rate of retention of the interns. So we don't used to do rolling internships. Like we like to train a person, train an intern, and then since the training is going to be really intensive and hard, we would like to retain the person if successful, of course, from both sides. I mean, from the intern point of view and for the organizational point of view. So the best path is to apply for an internship on our website, and then start with an internship. Of course, if there is no chance to join, because there is no possibility to join with an internship, you can try to apply for a specialist position after a bit of experience you gained in a related sector, which could be aviation or railway sectors, or even in another automotive.
Okay. I think that's a good point to mention. And separately, the internship, we see like a qualification period. It's like your qualification on Saturday, but it lasts 6 months, not just three sessions of 12 and 15 minutes. But it's a 6-month period that allows you to integrate, to get familiar with the team, to get familiar with the Ferrari DNA, with the company culture, to start working on your projects, to start delivering, to deliver and to work together with your line manager, with Simone and the other managers that we have. And then to double check if you are the right person with the right skills and motivations for the long term. The internships for us very much are a period to test you and to double check your motivation to be working together with Ferrari for the long term. So as Valeria said, we don't typically rotate people to have continuous interns. Our internships are individuals that have an opportunity to grow and to perform and to show that they have the right skills for the long term, and then have a good opportunity, not 100%, but a good opportunity to come and join the team afterwards, and then to grow for the medium to long term. The whole aim is, of course, to develop and grow the people that we have working in the company, and to treasure the skills and their competencies that they bring. Now, in terms of backgrounds, I saw some questions in terms of Formula students. Is that interesting? Is that a value added? We very much see that it is a huge value added, but it's not a must-have. So you don't need to have worked or competed in Formula Student, Formula Sci, Shell Eco Marathon, or similar. But all of those are very interesting for at least 2 points of view. One, from a technical point of view, because you can simulate what happens in racing in a what you call a minor category, a more junior category. Okay, we have F2, F3, F4. There's go-karting, and then we have the Formula Student competitions and other such challenges, such as the Shell Eco Marathon. And Shell, of course, is a long-term partner of Ferrari, in order to evaluate the engineering skills of those people, to work on components, to deliver in time management, etc. And the second reason where we really appreciate Formula Student experiences is for you to have worked in a challenging team, to work with results, to work under pressure, to come up with solutions. You know that Formula One and top end of engineering is full of surprises, okay? Expect unexpected is the right kind of motto to have any particular day, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen during FP1, FP2 today. It's going to happen during a race because of the competitors, because of the meteo, because of the tires or degradation or not. Unexpected things will happen. So having worked in a challenging competition such as Formula Student allows you to already be familiar with that kind of environment. And for you to enjoy that kind of challenge, okay, that you are resilient, that you are open to work under pressure, and that you can deliver under pressure, which is not easy to do so. And it allows you to open up yourself and to be even more creative and to be more agile in your approach based on your experience. Okay, so hopefully that answers some of the questions that we saw with regards to Formula students. And one person was referring to the Mooner, of course, here next door to Modena, Maranello, and Bologna. So the Mooner University, the motorsports of Modena and Emilia-Romagna. It is, yes, a fantastic opportunity to do a master program. It's not the only one, but of course it's one that is most closest from a physical point of view, but also from an ideology, as Ferrari was a co-creator and sponsor of the Mooner University ever since its onset a few years ago. But what you should look for yourself is which is the right kind of university, not because of the proximity or to say, hey, I'm next door to you, I am the right candidate, but it's based on what you can have from that experience, the value added. If it's with regard to certain technical components or skills, it may well be in other top universities in Italy, in Europe, or outside in the rest of the world that could be interesting, and not only because of being close to Maranello. Okay, we will never ever be able to give you a promise just by the fact that you are next door as a neighbor. We are looking for the best kind of profiles from an engineering point of view, from a development point of view, and then of course from a human competencies, the soft skills point of view. And that may well be for you of having done that in different universities, challenging top universities around the world. We do put an emphasis on your experience gained outside your country of origin. Okay, so I'm a Dutch national, if I only spent all of my life in the Netherlands and don't speak any Italian and never travel to Italy and don't know what a good pizza looks like, okay, it will be difficult for me to be able to integrate well and perform well. If you are a Dutch national or an English national or an Italian national who spent some time abroad, who has got some experience outside their country and therefore your culture of origin, having an exchange or a master program done at a different university to push your English or to learn Italian, for example, and to work in other areas, we see that as a value added. It's not a must-have, but it's a value added as part of your learning experience, your broader profile, etc. And we take that into account when evaluating your application, be that for an internship, the Formula One Academy, or the GT Engineering and Sales and Marketing Academy, or for an opportunity in Ferrari. Super. Over to Valeria.
Thank you. There is a question for Simone from Gianmarco. So question for Engineer Simone Ceccarelli. Might you describe deeply in the internship activity in your department? Thank you in advance.
Okay, I will explain pretty much what my internship, that is the work that we do. Let's say we manage all the, as I said in the presentation, we manage all the mechanical operations on the power unit test benches. So you have to consider that for testing a single unit, for example, an engine or even smaller components, there is a room full of equipment with a lot of machineries, mechanical, electrical, hydraulic machinery that needs to provide all the boundary conditions for the singular components. In our case, we mainly work with drivelines that are the electric motors and all the components. Usually we also have some gearboxes, some bearing cartridges that needs to be attached to the engine. What we do is usually it's both design these parts and also order them and design with some external supplier these parts. And we also monitor it, test, and do all the maintenance work for these components. So it's a really variable job because every day you do something different. For example, one day you're doing measurements in a test bench. The other day, for example, you're designing on your office a new component, or you're making calculations to predict how the component will behave. So yeah, I think I've answered the question, I hope. And yeah, it's really variable as a kind of work, let's say.
Simone, it's fantastic to see you live, not only as a testimonial, but you can actually advertise directly online for some of the best students to apply to be working in person. Okay, so
yeah,
it's a fantastic opportunity
Please
to share
come to work with us.
Fantastic.
We would be really happy to have someone.
Super. Valeria, over to you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Simone. Then Davide asked, do you accept unsolicited applications? Unsolicited means spontaneous. Yes, of course. Of course, we accept spontaneous applications, even because we have two main micro internships open on our website. The first one is engineering internships, which is more related to the R&D department, and the second one is manufacturing internship, which is more related to the manufacturing areas, to the production areas. So if you are not sure that, for example, you would like to work in the Simone's team and you're not sure if it's going to be R&D or manufacturing, do a spontaneous application and describe all your activities you have done so far, and of course we will evaluate your CV. Then let me go through. Okay. Rosario, I have just obtained a 3 years degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm looking for a specialization which will help me to work inside the racing field. As already Dennis said, you can choose the Mooner one because it's really close to this world, and also some of our engineers will teach you during some courses in the Mooners, in the Mooner master degree. So it could be a great choose to be enrolled in the Mooner master's degree. Of course, there are plenty of masters about racing, not only in Italy. So if you have the chance, also you can start looking for a master's abroad. But I will say that Mooner is a good choice. Okay. Then
Valeria, I saw some questions earlier. People that are interested to be joining the racing team directly. Okay. Knowing that all of us, including Simone, Valeria, and myself, were all motivated to come and join the racing team. But then Simone, as an engineer, is already more qualified than I will ever be. Congratulations to you, Simone.
Thank you.
But it is not straightforward for be that interns or junior people to come and join the racing team. So let's make sure that we're very clear on the expectations that you can join, yes, the Ferrari Formula One team, as an engineer, as a designer, as a specialist, etc. But after that, you grow in experience, in competencies, in skills, in network. And as a result, you build up your legitimacy, your validity based on your professional competencies in order to be evaluated, potentially to join the racing team. And we do have a few people that joined the company, 2, 3, 4 and years ago with the F1 Engineering Academy, but not only, and then were promoted to come and join the racing team. It is a specific breed of individuals that go to all the races. It's 23 races this year in 2021. It is tough because of the travel, the time lag, the rhythm, and separate from the expect the unexpected that we saw earlier in the testimonial. It is a challenging environment, and it's not just to see a couple of races. If that's the case, you'll be on that team for a number of years and a number of seasons to go. Okay, so we have to make sure that we have the individuals that are well prepared and that have the skills and hard skills, engineering skills, and soft skills to do that, and to do that very well indeed. Now, we can prepare you. We have a number of opportunities to be trained, developed as part of Ferrari training, but it's not something that is easily accessible for people to join immediately the racing team. In the academy, for example, you would have the opportunity to join our virtual garage. Okay, the virtual garage is in Maranello, and they follow live what happens on track during FP1, FP2, and races, etc. So a few people have the skills and therefore the opportunity to contribute, sometimes during an internship, or certainly when they're a junior member of the Ferrari racing team, in order to make that happen. Okay, over to Valeria for the last few points, because we're almost out of time.
Yeah, actually, we are done. So basically, I wanted to thank you, all of you, for your participation today. It was a pleasure to speak to you, and it's going to be even more pleasure to meet in person whenever it's going to be possible. Thank you very much. A huge hug for you all, and good luck for your career in the racing and the GT department. Ciao.
Grazie, Simone.
Thank you, everybody.